Tonight, gunmen strike again in Niger State, killing yet another priest. In Kaduna State, 5 persons are killed after different attacks on 3 local government areas. Fulani Atiap leaders agree to a ceasefire. Allow NSAS protesters to renew their travel passports, human rights lawyer Femi Falana tells federal government. And U.S. President-elect Joe Biden may issue decrees to reverse President Trump's travel bans and rejoin the Paris Climate Accord on his first day in office. Plus sports and international news. We begin in Niger State, where gunmen have killed a Catholic priest, Father John Bakung, in Laipai local government area of the state. The priest, who was the dean of the newly created Laipai Deanery and in charge of St. Anthony's Parish, was attacked by gunmen along with his brother on Lambatai-Laipai Road on Friday. His body was later found on Saturday, while his brother is yet to be released. In December 2020, a clergy with the Evangelical Church of West Africa was killed at Chukuba village in Shiroro local government area by gunmen on his farm where he went to harvest his produce. Meanwhile, the Bishop of Minna Catholic Diocese, Right Reverend Martin Uzopu, has condemned the killing of Father Bakun and is calling on the state government to investigate the incident and bring the perpetrators to book.
I'm a bishop of everybody, not just for Catholics. So Muslims are included, Christians are included, Catholics and non-Christians and non-Catholics, all of them. The people cannot go to their farms now. And this poor boy, they killed him. What has he done? Does he offend anybody? So we are calling on the local government, state government, federal government to come into this matter and stop banditry. Help us stop Boko Haram, stop the kidnappers, and the cattle Fulani, they are moving up and down. If you are going now, you stop on the road. When the cattle are crossing, you cannot cross, you have to stop on the road. And to go now with vehicles to some places now, very dangerous. We are not like the big men who have private jets, who have helicopters to fly. I'm sure that if they are passing our roads, if they are going through our own roads, they will know the hazard on the roads.
Staying in Kaduna State, no fewer than 5 persons, including a ward head, have been killed by bandits in separate attacks on Igabi and Chikun local government areas of Kaduna State. One of the victims, an 80-year-old woman, was hit by a bullet and died instantly. The Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Aruwan, says in a statement the gunmen also killed the ward head of Conti Village, in Chikun local government area, Samaila Yohana, while 2 locals, Alhaji Sani and Malam Rabiu, were also killed at Dundee community. He further said bandits barricaded the road between Fatika and Kidandan and opened fire on commuters plying the road in Giwa local government area, where 1 unidentified woman was killed and 3 other persons injured in the attack. In the meantime, leaders from both Atiap and Fulani communities in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State have resolved to bury their differences and chart a new course for peace in the interest of unity and development of the chiefdom. They made the resolution during a peace and reconciliation meeting between the 2 ethnic groups, where they agreed not to attack or kill each other.
Think Zango Kataf local government area in Kaduna State, and it's almost taken away by the incessant attacks and counterattacks between the Atiak people and the Fulani community, leading to loss of lives and property. Relative calm has been maintained lately by the leaders of this community, and they are taking it a step further with this peace meeting, which they all subscribed to, judging by their comments.
Wherever peace is, if it is in the air, we shall follow it in the air and bring peace in our land. If it is under the ground, we will also get strategies that will make us to go underground to bring peace to our land. If it is in the sea, we shall bring peace in our land.
The graves of my great-grandparents are here. Where am I going to? I don't have any other place. Let us open up, embrace ourselves as brothers. I know how many Kaboro and Atiap youth or children that are in my house right now. I am paying their school fees, they are graduating. And I'm happy.
Both parties also reconciled that most attacks are by criminals and by those who do not represent any religious belief.
In Genesis chapter 4, verse 21, God condemned the spilling of blood. That is why he pronounced curse on Cain. The Muslims would always tell you, Salamu alaikum. Salamu alaikum is what? Peace. So the first thing he pronounces to you is peace. So anybody who does not believe in peace is neither a Muslim nor a Christian.
They also advised against reprisal attacks, just as government forces have been deployed to maintain peace in the area.
I want to reiterate the position of Kaduna State government. Kaduna State government, under the leadership of the governor of the state, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is deeply committed to peace and security of not only Atiap chiefdom, but the entire Kaduna State. Any other thing that is required in order to expand or to deepen this reconciliation and understanding and togetherness, Kaduna State government will leave no stone unturned.
How this meeting enhances the process will be clear in the way parties here will choose to cohabit.
4 policemen have lost their lives during an ambush by bandits who attacked their convoy along the Beningwari-Funtua highway in Kaduna State. A statement from the force headquarters says the officers were personnel attached to Operation Puff Ada and were deployed to Niger State in the sustained operation to reclaim public space and tackle incidents of banditry, kidnapping and other violent crimes in the area. It adds that 18 officers were attacked in the ambush, with which they successfully repelled, while concerted efforts are being intensified to rescue the officers still missing. The police chief gives the assurance of the commitment to ensuring that all activities of bandits and other unscrupulous elements in the area and other parts of the country are brought to check. From Kaduna to Zamfara State, where police authorities say they have arrested 20 criminals and recovered rifles, magazines, live ammunition and rustled cows between December 24th, 2020 and January 14th, 2021 in Zamfara State. 8 persons were also rescued in Gidambarga and Dangajeru villages in Safe and Talata Mafara local government areas of the state. Parading the suspects and the exhibits, the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Abutu Yaro, says voluntary release of more weapons were expected as further dialogue for lasting peace is ongoing. And the military onslaught against Boko Haram insurgents continues following another round of strike by Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole, where they reportedly repelled a Boko Haram terrorist attack on Marte community in Borno State, destroying 7 gun trucks after combined ground and air operations. A statement by the Director of Defense Information says 6 additional gun trucks were also destroyed, while several Boko Haram terrorists were killed in the attack. He explains that the helicopters delivered accurate hits in their multiple ways of attack, as seen in this video on your screen. They immediately went up in flames. Major General Enenche further gave the assurance that the armed forces, in concert with other security agencies and stakeholders, will sustain the offensive against the terrorists until peace is restored in the northeast. To other stories now, the Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, ASCAB, is asking the federal government to renew the passports and some NSAS protesters allegedly being victimized for their involvement in the protest against police brutality in the country last year. The interim chairman of the group, Mr. Femi Falana, said in a statement that in spite of the open declaration of President Buhari that the genuine demands of the NSAS protesters will be met, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigeria Immigration Service have continued to embarrass the federal government. Mr. Falana mentioned the cases of a certain Bolatito Rachel Odwala, Mary Oshifora, and Moshopeola Odesheye, who, according to him, were currently being denied the renewal of their passports. He adds that the Ministry of Interior lacks the power to subject citizens to denial of consular services and asked that the passport of the protesters be renewed without further delay. Those are coming to Nigeria without fulfilling the entry requirement, including a valid COVID-19 clearance certificate, will be found and dealt with according to the law. Not my words, but the position of the Controller General of Immigration, Mr. Mohammed Bandidi. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akure on our current affairs program, Newsnight, that border control in Nigeria and indeed around the world is now both a matter of security and public health.
Borders have to be controlled, so not because of security, but because of public health. As we are scared somebody will drop a bomb, we should be scared of somebody bringing a huge disease that could contaminate the person. Issues to do with the COVID-19 is a public health and is under Ministry of Health, but we work together with them. What do? We have allowed to add condition of entry to be health requirement. We have the power, the Controller General has the power, the Minister of Interior has the power to add condition of entry of a person who is not a citizen of Nigeria. To say, when you want to enter Nigeria, you need a visa. We can say now, conditions for you to enter Nigeria requires a COVID-19 fulfillment of the form. Remember, the Presidential Task Force has directed that anybody who wants to enter Nigeria, if you're a citizen of Nigeria or not, you need to complete and pay online a COVID-19 test form. Yes. When you arrive, you make the form. It's a condition of entry. So any person who violates that condition is capable of punishment because the condition of entry has been clearly stated. Now, anybody can be punished. This is help because we are using immigration to tackle the problem. The Presidential Task Force has given us 100 names. We are able to find their passport. We have blocked their passport. They cannot reissue that passport. And they cannot travel with it until after 6 months. It's a penalty for them. You cannot travel. Even if you say you have lost the passport, you come to reissue, the system will not allow you to reissue. It will show you that you are one of those people who have been blocked because of lack of COVID-19 tests. This is our contribution. If the visas are going to be required now, you're applying for visa, we must ask you, you have a COVID-19 test. It's a requirement condition. We don't know what the future will bring. There's a possibility to say that you cannot do it until you have the vaccine, but let's wait for that time.
You can watch the full interview with the Controller General of Immigration on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, January 18th at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. In part two after the break, federal government compels a foreign diplomat to enroll for national identity number effective January 19th. Join us again. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Gunmen strike again in Niger State, killing yet another priest in Lapai local government area. In Kaduna State, 5 persons are killed after 3 different attacks on 3 local government areas. Fulani Atiap leaders agree to a ceasefire. Allow NSAS protesters to renew their travel passports, human rights lawyer Femi Falana tells federal government. And US President-elect Joe Biden may issue decrees to reverse President Trump's travel bans and rejoin Paris Climate Accord on his first day in office. As the number of cases continues to rise in the country, Nasarawa State is one recording a spike in number of confirmed coronavirus cases. With over 1,000 cases, residents flouting safety protocols, Governor Abdullahi Sule has initiated a partnership with all district heads in the state. The partnership is to heighten awareness at the grassroots to help slow the spread of the virus. Our correspondent, Halima Gayom, has a report.
The coronavirus pandemic has emphasized the importance of hand washing. Just when the world was trying to recover from the impact of the first wave of the coronavirus, the second wave hits again. Though it is said to be deadlier than its predecessor, a huge number of the populace in Nasarawa State are treating its presence with laxity. On the streets, people carry out their activities unmindful of the severity of the second wave of the pandemic. Commercial motorcycle and tricycle operators, alongside their passengers, are on the move without any form of protection. Petty business owners too. The very few complying drop their face masks on their jaws. All of this is despite government's restrictions, even as some of them are aware of its existence.
People should know that it is real. I know there is a lot of controversy about COVID-19, but people should please be careful, and the government, I know all what the government said is for the good of the masses.
In recent weeks, the state is recording a spike in the number of confirmed cases, which has surpassed 1,000. The government is worried about the growing numbers and is extending sensitization campaigns to the hinterlands. Governor Abdullahi Sule meets with all district heads. He wants them to take the message of the new variant to their people.
I strongly believe that because of your closeness to the populace, you will do us a big favor by being the ones who will convey our concerns and the different areas of protocols and assist us on the awareness when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic.
There is less burden at the State Specialist Hospital Isolation Center, as many patients take to home care, except for few severe cases. Over 10 doctors here have also tested positive. The Chief Medical Director, however, insists management and response preparation are in top gear.
We are ready for it. We've had the experience during the first wave, and this second wave is actually proving to be deadlier than the first wave in terms of the quantity of patients that come, and then even the severity of the ailment. But we're doing the best that we can.
While the people are placing wealth above health, and the government is putting in place measures to stem the spread of the virus, it is an opportunity for others to make stipends. The sale of face masks resurfaces again, with the sellers mostly children, targeting no mask, no entry spots. Though aware of its necessity, they are not wearing one either. Although the government is stepping up efforts to contain the virus, if the people do not take responsibility, the spike may continue, as the safest bet for protection is adherence to safety protocols. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
Foreign diplomats who will reside in Nigeria for a continuous period of 2 years or more will now have to enroll for the national identity number. That's because the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy says it is mandatory to do so. The minister, Dr. Issa Pantami, says an enrollment center has been established for the foreign diplomats at the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs so the process can begin from Tuesday, January 19th. According to him, the enrollment center will provide support for members of the diplomatic corps and will be managed by the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy through the National Identity Management Commission. He adds that the decision is in line with the dictates of Section 16 of the National Identity Management Commission Act 2007. Officers of the Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base in Ibokoda, Ondo State, have arrested 24 illegal bunkering suspects in the Laje local government area of the state. The commanding officer of the naval base, Captain Shuaib Ahmed, reveals that the patrol team of the base intercepted and apprehended the suspects with 6 boats containing illegally refined automotive gas oil, known as diesel oil, along the Ondo-Lagos route. The Navy says the surveillance is part of efforts to curb all forms of illegalities, such as bunkering, piracy, sea robbery, and kidnapping within the riverine area of Ondo State and the adjoining areas. They're also calling for the cooperation of the host communities in combating all forms of crime and economic sabotage. A road blockade reported around Kobakpe is generating tension after villages located in Adedero community in Ogun State complained about it. According to the residents, the action of one man has cut off about 26 villages from the main road where their schools and health centers are located. However, 86-year-old Chief Dotun Kolosho refuted the claim that he blocked an ancestral access. He says the villagers chose his property over an existing road.
Adedero in Ogun State is an agrarian community known for the cultivation of various produce, including the popular fada rice. They're also into plantain as well as cassava cultivation, which they process into gari. The quiet community has grown quieter due to a major incident that appears to have impacted them and their children negatively. This wall, erected in August 2020 on what they claim is an ancestral path to and fro 26 of their villages through Kobakwe Road, is the problem.
My age is 88 years. The time my father born and my mother born me, now this road are the past go for Adedero.
Instead of the usual 10 minutes walk through this path to the villages, the inhabitants now take a longer route home. They say it's a case of an influential citizen attempting to oppress the poor.
Surprisingly, around September this year, he summoned about 4 ballots, which is Bege, Lufoko, Iwere, and Oboloko. Only 4 ballots out of about 40 ballots in the community that the state government, Ogun State government, has approved is a plan to start his project, that this our road will be closed.
The impact of this blockade is telling on their livelihood.
We have a woman that was laboring. Before we could spend our way from down village, cross down to that along that Kobakwe, we have lost the woman.
All they want is for the Ogun State government to prevail on the said owner of the property to restore their access road. The owner of the property, 86-year-old Chief Oludotun Koleosho, while responding to our inquiry into the matter, says he duly acquired the property from the villagers and has all the required documents to back his claim. He, however, refuted the claim that he maliciously blocked an ancestral path, which he said was never part of the composite plan he obtained from the state government.
There is no road in this site plan. This site plan was drawn by government surveyor. His name is there and the certificate is appended to it.
Going forward, Chief Koleosho says he is ready to help the community open up the existing route which they abandoned for his site.
The company may still be prepared to assist them financially to rehabilitate the road they were using before, but as of the moment, we just have to wait for the report of the Public Complaints Commission that held inquiries into this matter.
While attempts to get the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development in Ogun State to comment on the issue was not successful, an inside source, however, confirmed that the ministry was already dealing with the matter. As it stands, development is ongoing on the said property, while the Adedoro villages are still locked in. It's obvious that this is a matter of access rather than title or ownership, which the state government and parties involved should be able to sit together and resolve amicably. Chris Elams, Channels Television News.
Residents of Pajama community in the nation's capital are lamenting the high rate of estimated billing by the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. They're threatening to take to the streets to demand that they benefit from the national mass metering program. However, the federal government says over 250,000 meters have been distributed since the program started last December. Our correspondent Gloria Mizoke reports that the community is one of several in the nation's capital yet to benefit from the national program.
Infuriated and desperate, these electricity consumers in the FCT voice grim concerns over the level of exploitation through the estimated billing system.
Is it the number of houses, the number of equipment you're using in the houses, the facilities that you're using that is making the bill to rise? We don't know what they're using to estimate bill. There are some houses that we have about 10 tenants in the compound, but the bill they are paying, I don't know if they've sorted out NEPA people and they will come, the bill is lesser than people that will stay in 3 in the compound.
Pajama community, like several others within the nation's capital, is especially affected. Few months ago, Don J. White led a protest over the excessive billing to electricity consumers without commensurate service.
For 5 days, light no day. So they bring NEPA with 80, 100. Talk say one person they pay 4,000, 3,000.
Mr. Adebayo further narrates how he faithfully pays his bills, but the inadequate service is manifestly hurting his business.
They are asking me to pay for the one phase 40,000, two phase 80,000. Let this meter get to every one of us so that we can be able, if we cannot recharge it, we will not have light. If we can recharge the meter, we will have light.
The federal government in 2020 had come up with the robust announcement directing the distribution of free prepaid meters for all, finally empowering the hope of a balance between power generation and consumption. There are, however, concerns about loopholes within this plan.
People seem to want to get their meter so they can exit this exploitation. So if government is serious and provide a plan to the regulator, people can finance significant part of this metering gap, and then government can now maybe finance the rest and then take it out from the tariff, take it out from the river disco, or instead of the World Bank providing all this support for discos, and they say, look, let the support go primarily to metering.
Distribution companies acknowledge in an interview with Channels Television that there are prevailing challenges within the program.
The issue of estimated billing, frankly speaking, will live with us for some time. The reason being, we just need to be honest with ourselves. If I tell you that, oh, we're going to remove it tomorrow, is a blatant lie. Even if we have all the meters for all our customers on grounds today, the logistics for installing them is also a challenge. We cannot install all of them in one day.
The National Mass Metering Program is expected to close the existing 6 million meter gap within the next 18 to 24 months.
We've so far dispensed through the Central Bank of Nigeria about 14 billion, covering about 250,000 meters that are actively being installed across the DISCO network. And we anticipate we'll do additional disbursements. We plan to conclude the process of disbursement and installation over the next 3 to 4 months.
Residents here are hoping that the government would devote crucial efforts towards the success of the National Mass Metering Program.
The endemic challenge of epileptic power supply in so many communities like this one is further exacerbated by gross lack of prepaid meters for electricity consumers. Undoubtedly, an urgent strategy towards distribution of prepaid meters will hugely incentivize local businesses to grow and more investments in the nation's power sector. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Other news at 10 returns. Stone breakers in Bega community in Niger State lament lack of attention by the government. That's an our community report. Join us again. Welcome back. Some women stone breakers in Bega community in Niger State are lamenting what they describe as a lack of attention by the government to their plight. They say they've not benefited from any of these social welfare schemes of the federal government. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Bega community, a relatively new settlement located in Maitumbi area, about 2 kilometers away from the heart of Mina, the Niger State capital. The community is surrounded with rocks and natural resources that have become treasures for the people. Here, survival against all odds is the rule, and women have to hit hard on rocks with armors just to put food on the table. Awobala is a 63-year-old grandmother of 3. She's been breaking stones for over a decade, and according to her, it's not a decision she had wanted to take.
We are faced with a lot of challenges in this business, but we have no option. We really need help.
The story is same for many of these women.
We are suffering. We don't get government's intervention. We heard the government has been supporting people, but we the poor here have not got any support. When we try to access government's intervention, we hardly scale through.
Women are not alone in this business in Bega. Their men and their children are also involved.
This work is a hard work. We need to protect ourselves. We cannot have a boot. We cannot have a health education. We're supposed to have a clinic very for our side.
The business, however, comes with a price. Sometimes physical injuries are incurred. Other times, their health is in jeopardy.
My body the me where I go like that for night. I don't go sleep. My body the me where.
Lung disease may also be inevitable, according to medical experts.
When you are braking, you are inhaling those particles through the nose, and then the final destination is the alveolar inside the lungs. Now, once it's settled there with time, it causes what we call silicosis. Okay, silicosis is a cancer-associated pathology of the lungs.
The state government is promising to support the stone breakers.
We advised them to form into a cooperative so that they can approach the federal ministry to obtain an artisanal license to help them in doing their business.
But such interventions by the government are yet to get to Bega, as it is currently faced with poor road network and lack of healthcare facility. Many of the women who break stones here are widows left to cater for themselves and their children. Although the business is one that has great effect on their health, they are not deterred, but rather they are committed to breaking stones as long as it puts food on their table. From Bega community, the stone breaking site here in Mina, Niger State, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, in Yobe State, some women activists have expressed concern over the increasing rape cases and other criminal activities in the state as they seek increased budgetary allocation for the Nigeria police and the judiciary for quick dispensation of justice. Records made available to Channels Television by the police and sexual assault referral centers show that the state recorded high rape cases in 2020, especially among minors, compared to previous years.
Despite the outcry over rising cases of rape, there seems to be no end to the criminality. According to a civil society organization, Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network, 1 in every 4 females have reportedly experienced sexual violence in childhood, with approximately 70% reporting more than one incident of sexual violence.
Comparing the year 2019 to 2020, there is a little bit increase with regard to 2019. In 2019, we are able to record about 87 to 90 cases of rape cases, which we have their record. And coming to 2020, we now had almost about 100 plus cases, and we are still recording more cases.
in the state.
These activists believe providing more laws and funding for the police, sexual assault referral centers and judiciary can mitigate the challenge.
There is need for the federal government to fund or to improve the funding of the police so as to have an effective investigation of these cases. Then the state at its own level also, there is need for them to provide a budget line for the SAC so as to enable the SAC through the Ministry of Health to provide a forensic evidence as part of evidence of the police. From our own perspective, the only way we can mitigate against this is for people to begin to think human first. What about if it is you? Think about it. If it is your own daughter, if it is your own sister, what happens? People will begin now. There's need for much sensitization.
While others are advocating increased funding, the Chief Judge of the state pledged to apply relevant laws on all perpetrators.
I assure you that any case that is brought, especially this case of rape of minors or even this much, the law here has been amended. So we will do everything possible to apply the law as it is and very strictly. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones to be blamed if the accused person goes free either by reason of one technicality or the other.
With the recent passage of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law by the Edo State House of Assembly, activists are optimistic that a speedy assent by the governor would help in reducing rape cases, which is the second most highly recorded crime in the state after culpable homicide.
As the Kano State government prepares to reopen schools across the state, education authorities are sensitizing residents of the need to support the government on the development of education. The State Senior Secondary School Management Board believes that to achieve education for all hands must be on deck.
1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria. Even though primary education is officially free and compulsory, about 10.5 million of children aged 5 to 14 years are not in school. These statistics is from the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF. The situation is even worse in the north as a result of the effect of insurgency and other economic barriers and socio-cultural norms, including practices that discourage attendance in formal education, especially for girls. States like Kano are trying to bridge this gap, and that is why it's brought together parents, traditional rulers, and community leaders to deliberate on how best to develop education, especially in rural communities.
Education is no longer the business of government alone.
The majority leader of the House of Representatives identifies what is required to improve the standard of education.
Every important person in the society is also expected to play his own bit in the development of the educational sector. We are all beneficiaries of the educational development of our own communities. Without education, we would have not come to this level. Without education, our children as well would not have come to this level.
While traditional rulers appreciate the support of government and various individuals, they advocate the need for more assistance in order to ensure that all children are educated, especially as education is free and compulsory in Kano State.
It is encouragement to the pupils to give their contribution toward the development of education in all parts and sectors of the local of the education. So we pray to Allah to continue guiding us and give us courage to give our support and contributions toward the development of the education in our state.
As the drive to improve the standard of education in the state continues, the State Senior Secondary School Management Board presented a word of appreciation to some individuals for their support and contribution to the state free and compulsory education program. Idris Jubrin, Channels Television News.
And now to the arts. Art is gaining ground every day and spaces are being exploited to display works of creativity. One of such is the Maiden Affinity Art Gallery in Lagos, throwing its doors open to art lovers.
Many works of art done by veteran and contemporary artists form part of the Affinity Art Gallery collection, showcased in its maiden exhibition titled The Opening, although it's been around since 2017.
We believe that you have to teach children and you have to teach the coming generation the importance of art. Who are the artists, you know, before and now, and the artists that are going to be in the future as well. So yeah, so that's what we're currently looking at doing. So next year we'll have a lot more exhibitions, installations, everything that has to do with supporting contemporary artists and celebrating the master and modern artists.
The images ooze class and style, exploring different issues happening in the society.
There's so much color in the gallery. We have sculptures as well. And African art is something that we've all come to know and love. We believe that if we're not telling our stories by ourselves, we're not really doing anything. So we need to tell our stories by ourselves. We need to celebrate our artists. We need to support our artists, most importantly, which is one of the things that we're currently looking at doing.
For the gallery, it's essential to give artists more room to exhibit their creations, as such beauty should never be hidden.
The space is amazing. Really like the works on display and the variety of styles of the different artists on exhibition today. The ambience and the crowd, it's a really, really great environment.
Actually impressed. We've been to a lot of art galleries in Lagos, and this is starting to look like a leader in this category. You know, the things I've seen here, I haven't seen anywhere in Lagos, so they are different and very, very unique. The collections are very, very unique, and the place generally is very, very conducive, and you know, it's a state of art gallery. That's what I was saying.
The gallery believes there are grave implications if African creations are not properly represented and young artists need guardians. That's why it's stepping out with this show despite the odds of 2020.
More countries around the world are continuing with mass vaccinations against the coronavirus pandemic, especially as the new strain sees infections rising higher. Here's a global update. Beginning in Spain, where nursing homes are amongst the first people in the country to receive a second dose of the BioNTech-Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. The second dose has started to be injected in 8 different regions, with other regions due to administer them on Monday. Scientists in China say mass vaccination among humans is necessary to form immunity barrier to cut the spread of coronavirus. The country has administered more than 12 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines to key groups including chain workers, medical workers and public service personnel since December 15, 2020. On Sunday morning, residents were seen lining up in a community in Beijing waiting to be vaccinated. In India's southern city of Bengaluru, healthcare workers have been receiving the COVID-19 vaccine as part of what Prime Minister Narendra Modi's office calls the world's largest vaccination campaign. The world's most populous country after China says it may not need to vaccinate all of its 1.35 billion people to create herd immunity. Still, covering even half of its population will make it one of the largest immunization programs in the world, even if countries like the United States were to vaccinate every resident. The British government hopes it can offer vaccines to all adults by September 2021. The country, which has Europe's highest COVID-19 death toll, has been under a national lockdown since January 5th, When schools were closed for most pupils, non-essential businesses were shut to the public and people were ordered to work from home where possible. And finally, France's cumulative COVID-19 death toll has risen past 70,000 after 196 deaths were reported in the previous 24 hours. Authorities say 70,142 people have now died from COVID-19. They also reported that 413,046 people had been vaccinated, up from 389,000 on Friday. To the United States now, where President-elect Joe Biden is reportedly planning to issue decrees reversing outgoing President Donald Trump's travel bans and rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as soon as he takes office on Wednesday, January 20th. He's also expected to focus on reuniting families separated at the U.S.-Mexico border and to issue mandates on COVID-19 and mask wearing. According to a memo from his office, the executive plans are just one part of his ambitious plan for the first 10 days in office, among which is also sending a major new immigration bill to Congress, as well as focusing on passing a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan to help the country's economy recover from coronavirus. Mr. Biden says his administration will aim to deliver 100 million COVID-19 vaccine shots in his first 100 days in office, describing the rollout so far as a dismal failure. Russian authorities are reportedly detaining Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny following his arrival in Moscow 5 months after he was nearly killed by a nerve agent attack last year. Metal barriers were erected inside Moscow's Vnukovo airport, where his plane was originally scheduled to land, and Russian media reported that several activists, including key Navalny ally Lyubov Sobol, were detained there. The 44-year-old was seen being led away by police at passport control. Authorities had warned earlier he could face imprisonment after missing a prison service deadline in December to report at an office in Moscow. Prison service accuses him of violating conditions imposed after conviction of embezzlement, for which he received a suspended sentence. He has always condemned the case as being politically motivated. In sports, the Nigeria Women Football League Premiership is the first of all the leagues across the country to kickstart its 2020-2021 season after the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 authorized the return of contact sports. The league is now facing challenges as some clubs are faced with the financial burden of undergoing regular COVID-19 tests for players and officials, forcing the league to be postponed for a month. This report takes a look at the Women's League amidst a second wave of COVID-19.
The Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership started with fanfare. The girls rolling in, players, coaches, all excited with the commencement of the league in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. After just 4 matches, the second wave of the pandemic is threatening to halt all the excitement because most clubs have failed to meet the COVID-19 test requirements for players and team officials.
We need to see a document that has told you that you've tested these players, your officials have been tested, and that this is the result. And this result can be verified, giving us the details of where these results were carried out, and so that we can also do our further tests.
While some government-owned clubs claim to carry out frequent testing, for private clubs like FC Robo Queens, Dream Star Ladies and Royal Queens, the financial burden is a great concern.
From NFF to NWFL to the clubs too, we have to liaise to how to assist the club on testing. The government will be ready, because if the country is not safe, no one is safe, then the government should be ready to assist too. We will comply. Tell us we want to do tests every day. Surely we will bring our players to go and do tests when it is free. But when it is not free, we have to look at our pockets. We have to sustain the club as well, because we can't just come out and pack off.
With these complaints, how can regular testing be sustained to ensure the health and safety of players?
Even though we are going to be doing intermittent and frequent testing, we are going to have to do it in such a way that it is convenient for everybody. Convenient in the sense that we are going to look at the financial implications. We are going to look at how best, to do it and keep the players safe.
One of the reasons given for the delay in the resumption of the league is the failure of some clubs to meet the licensing criteria set up by the NWFL board, leading to the registration of 14 out of 16 teams. From all indications, the major criteria for the successful conclusion of the 2020-2021 season is for the clubs to comply with the COVID-19 protocols.
Match day 5 of the Nigeria Professional Football League recorded 18 goals in 9 league games decided this evening. Plateau United bounced back from their defeat to Kano Pillars on Wednesday to beat visiting Adamawa United by 3-0. Amos Giang's well-converted penalty kick in the first half and 2 quick goals by Kingsley Innocent and Wasio Jimo handed the host the vital 3 points. Nasarawa United have extended their unbeaten run to 5 league games thanks to a 1-0 win against Katsina United in Lafia. Enyimba International beat Kano Pillars 2-1 in Aba in a clash of former champions. Rivers United recorded their 4th win of the season in 5 games in a hard-fought 3-1 win against Heartland FC. Abia Warriors and FC Ifeanyi played a 1-0 draw. To the English Premier League, Manchester United remained top of the Premier League table after holding champions Liverpool to a goalless draw in what could still prove to be a significant contest in this season's title race. The Red Devils had the better openings at Anfield, but soaked up plenty of pressure, and overall, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be content with a stalemate this season's side edge 2 points clear of second-place Leicester City. Liverpool are point further off the summit in the 3rd spot. Stunning goals from Tanguy Ndombele and Harry Kane has fired Tottenham into the top 4 as Sheffield United's troubles continued with a 3-1 defeat of Bramall Lane. And the main news again. Gunmen today killed another priest, Reverend Father John Bakan, in Lapai local government area of Niger State. It's coming barely 1 month after another cleric was killed in Shiroro local government area of the state. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.